everyone, this is Funguy the Entertainer in Funguy's Kitchen. Today we are going to be cooking something more on what my friend Steve likes. It's called Italian Cauliflower and Quinoa bake. I'm not sure if quinoa is the proper pronunciation. I probably should have checked that up, but that sounds right. This is quinoa. It comes from Bolivia, Peru, and Ecuador. It's a healthy food. It's I'm assuming it's very similar to rice, some kind of a starch, although it's more of a seed. We'll see what happens. Today what we're going to need is a pan, 9x13 pan. We're going to need a pot with 2 cups of water in it. We're going to need 1 cup of dry quinoa, a 30-ounce can, this is a 29-ounce can, that's pretty close, of tomato sauce, black pepper, sea salt. The recipe normally calls for oregano and basil. I don't have those separate right now. I'm actually trying to grow some of my own. We'll see what's going to happen for later on in the season. So right now I'm just going to use an Italian seasoning, which has both those in it. Unfortunately, it also has rosemary and sage. So I don't know how much it's going to change the recipe, but that's what we're going to use. And of course, olive oil. So the first thing you're going to need to do is floret your cauliflower. You've seen me do this once before. I was considering doing it in advance. The problem is if I do that, it'll make this video really, really short, which I suppose isn't necessarily a bad thing for some people. But see if I learned anything from the last time. Remember how much trouble I had getting the cauliflower to separate before I can cut it? Oh, and preheat your oven to 400 degrees. That's the other thing I forgot about. So let's spin this way. See how that works. Unfortunately, since this is not a cell phone, I tried using my cell phone, but it overheats above the stove. There's no way to tell for sure how good my aim is on this. So I'm noticing on a couple occasions it was actually too low. So this time I raised it, but now it may be too high. So what we're going to do to make this faster is I'm going to cut it just like this. And we're going to make florets. This is about the size I want. Now, I'm going to put the olive oil right in here right away because the olive oil is mostly for the pan. You're going to want 2 tablespoons. So let's pour 2 tablespoons in here. Hey, that's a brand new bottle. Probably works better if I take the seal off. All right, 2 tablespoons, 1 and 2. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? Put the cap on here so I don't accidentally knock it over. I'm going to roll it across the pan to make sure that I have an even covering all the way. As you know, I like using the olive oil spray because it's quick and efficient, but I believe that the oil is actually going to coat the food, so we're going to use the actual olive oil. All right, there we go. We have a nice even covering. So as I cut these, I'm going to just toss them right in the pan here. Oh yeah, see, this is a lot easier than last time. Very easy. Excellent. I'm anticipating this is about the biggest piece you're going to want. Smaller pieces like this are probably better. So I'm just going to keep breaking these up. Very easy. I'm going to avoid too much of the stem this time. When we made that buffalo cauliflower, the stems was perfect because that's kind of how you're picking them up off the plate when you go to eat them. But this is going to be almost like a casserole. So it's going to be all mixed in, so I'm taking the hard part of the stems out. The proper amount of cauliflower is roughly 30 ounces. I'm not exactly sure what that correlates to, but I have a sneaking suspicion that's going to be about 2/3 of this head of cauliflower, because you're going to want to cover the entire bottom of the pan with the cauliflower. So that's what we're going to do here. I accidentally dropped a stem in here. Easy enough to correct. And taking up a big chunk off of this. I stopped by the pig today to pick up the fresh cauliflower, which reminds me, I just realized you probably can't see him. I've got Piggy. We're going to put him behind me so we can watch us cook. If you like the pig, you just go to the Piggly Wiggly and they sell them right there. Great to have a pig in your kitchen. Okay. Looks like I was about right on that 2/3 because we're getting pretty close to filling the bottom of this pan here. And we're almost at that 2/3 mark. As you can hear, the oven is already fully up to temperature, which is perfect. I started that before I turned on the cameras because the prep time on this is actually fairly quickly. And actually, I'm going to use the whole head because I don't know what I'm going to do with a little bit of extra. So I don't think it'll hurt. It'll make it a little stronger. Apparently, cauliflower is kind of messy. I should have remembered that from last time. But and for those of you who also remember from that show, after I ate that piece, it was actually edible. I've always despised cauliflower. It has been my second least favorite vegetable, Brussels sprouts being the least favorite vegetable. But instead of being soggy and mushy and blah, funky tasting, to me, cauliflower always tastes like dirt. That was actually really good. The way it was cooked was really good. And we're going to try this too. I'm actually going to eat some of this today. I'm trying to eat a little bit more healthy. It's very difficult because I'm a meat and potatoes type guy, just like a lot of American men are. But as you know, my partner Steve on my other show, What Happened to the World Today, has lost over 120 pounds since August of last year. Since you're not sure when this is, right now it's the middle of June. So in 2 more months, that's in 10 months, he lost that much weight by switching to whole food plant-based. I'm not going to be able to do that. To me, food is just too important. Good food. I see, I'm calling it good food. Tasty food. And he's going to tell me that once you get used to it, this kind of food's tasty too. But you guys know what I mean. This is the kind of food I really like. All right, as you can see, it's kind of a heavy duty, so I'm thinking this is probably closer to 40 ounces, but that's okay. Supposed to use roughly a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Now, you know I like this coarse ground stuff. Makes it really easy to see. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on the top to make sure I have a good cover. You don't want it too thick. Okay, I think that looks really good. That's probably really close. I'll hold it up a little here. Okay. And then it says we're supposed to use a teaspoon of salt, which is very, very, very little salt. Which is probably also healthier for you. Let's get to the teaspoon here. Okay, there's a teaspoon. I'm going to sprinkle it across the top. I'm actually going to stir this so that everything gets a good coating. And then you're supposed to use 1/2 teaspoon of oregano and 1/2 teaspoon of basil, which of course comes up to a full teaspoon. So what I'm going to do is put 1 full teaspoon of my Italian seasoning in here. There we go. And let's see, I'm going to use a spatula today. Now we're going to mix it up. This will give me a little bit of olive oil coating on the cauliflower. It will also help the seasonings mix a little bit better and stick to the cauliflower a little bit better. Okay, that's a nice mixture. As you know, the oven is already up to temperature. So what we're going to do, it's preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to put all this in the oven for 20 minutes. So let's put this in here. I'm gonna set the timer over here. 20, start. Okay, now here's where we get to have some fun. A lot of times I just turn off the camera now, right? Well, today we have to cook something else. We have to cook the quinoa. I already have the 2 cups of water in the pot. So we need 1 cup of the uncooked quinoa. I'm pretty sure that's the proper pronunciation. So here's a 1 cup measure. I should probably center this a little bit better. There we go. See how this works. Put 1 cup in here. Okay, which is about a half a bag. So it looks like this is a 2 cup bag. Just pour it right in there. According to the instructions on the bag, since I have never cooked this before, you use 2 cups of water with 1 cup of quinoa. Bring to a boil, reduce heat to low, cover and simmer until water is absorbed, which takes about 15 minutes. And since we're cooking the cauliflower for 20 minutes, this is why we were able to keep doing this right away. So we're going to turn this on because we want to bring it to a boil. I'll grab one of my trusty spoons in here. Here's the shorter handle one. Give it a good stir. There we go. Shouldn't take too long for that to, start to boil. I just got to remember if it said to cover it or not. It does say to cover, so I'm going to close this up and put a twist on it so that it doesn't spill all over my counter. And I'll grab a cover. See if I got the right size. I did. We don't want to cover it until it starts to boil. So I've got this off to the side. And while we're at it, let's get rid of the mess that I made. You gotta admit, I know how to make a mess. As I'm sure you know, most cooks, chefs are messy. It's not that we necessarily do it on purpose, but we're usually doing things quickly, and the quicker you do things, the easier it is to be messy. Now, since this is vegetable matter, I'm not going to throw it in the garbage. I'm going to throw it in my compost pile outside. So I will be right back. Oh, see, that didn't take long. Now, I don't know if you guys are having, well, of course, again, when you're watching this, it could be a whole different year by the time you get to this. We are having a interesting weather spell. The weather has been kind of like Seattle. Very foggy, very rainy, drizzly. Temperatures are very cool. We've been dropping all the way down in the low 40s at night. Now, all of a sudden today, gone up into the mid 70s, but the humidity is still sky high. So it feels terrible outside. All right, let's give this a quick clean since we're waiting for the water to boil. There we go. And there's not really enough here to put in the compost pile, so this I will get rid of. Okay, very simple. I like to keep my cooking area fairly clean. Needless to say, since you're making messes as quick as we do, sometimes you have to wait. But since we're waiting for the water to boil, this is a really good opportunity to take advantage of this. Clean my crumbs. One of the things that has always kind of driven me crazy about stoves and counters, I don't know if you can see this, but some of the cauliflower pieces fell in this crack here. So that means you have to get that out. Thank goodness for brushes. There we go. Some of them are a little bit too deep for the brush to reach, but we'll get them on a heavier cleaning. All right, how is this looking? Looks like it's going to take a little bit longer. Once this comes to a boil, like I said, we're going to lower the temperature down and put it on simmer for roughly 15 minutes. I'm going to assume it's going to take about 5 minutes to boil, so if you don't have two timers, the cool thing is this timer is going to go off probably 15 minutes after this comes to a boil, since we set the timer at 20 minutes. So we will come back at that point. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, I decided while I was waiting for the product to finish doing its simmer before the cauliflower is ready, that I would look up how to pronounce this. I'm not even close. It's quinoa. Basically, like quinoa. Quinoa. Who would have guessed that, right? Well, of course, anybody else besides me who already knew what this product was. So the product is quinoa. It is almost done. You basically want to make sure that it looks kind of like this. There's still a little bit too much water in here. You can drain it if it ends up coming to that point. I also learned that this product is a seed, but it's also from the same botanical family as spinach. It's very, very high in protein, low in carbohydrates. So that's why this is so healthy for you. It's also lower in calories. I believe it said it was 40% lower than calories than rice. So this ought to be an interesting thing. So while I was waiting, because this is all going to come together pretty quick here, I took a bowl and I poured my tomato sauce in there. You're also going to need a total of 8 ounces of mozzarella cheese. I'm using the mozzarella provolone mixture. I think that's a really good blend. But you only need half the bag to begin with. And you mix it right in with the tomato sauce here. So let's sprinkle about half the bag in the tomato sauce. Looks like I can go a little bit more in here. That looks about right. There's our timer for the cauliflower. Let's see how that looks. I'm going to turn the heat off on the quinoa and let that continue sitting for just a minute. This looks pretty good here. Let's give it a stir. Oh yeah, see, this is looking pretty good. It's got a little bit of brown to it, but I think we want a little bit more, which is good because the quinoa is not quite ready. It took a little longer for the water to boil than I anticipated, so I'm about 3 minutes off. I'm going to put this back in the oven here. Let's check how this looks again. Oh yeah, almost all the water is absorbed now. This is really interesting looking. You can see, now let me hold this up. Can you see how the seeds have opened up? It's very, very cool. Let me set the timer. Actually, I'll use this timer here so I don't have to go out of the area. We just need, 3 minutes. Start. I'm going to go 3 more minutes on the quinoa. And then we'll throw it right in this bowl here. We'll stir it up. We'll pull the cauliflower out. We'll add the quinoa mixture, the quinoa tomato sauce mixture on top, and then we'll sprinkle the rest of the mozzarella cheese on top of that. And then it's done. It's pretty simple. Again, this is one of these very easy recipes. The hardest part was breaking up the cauliflower without making a mess. As you see, I failed at that. I did break up the cauliflower, but I did make a mess. So, all right. You know, I'm not even going to wait that extra 3 minutes because that looks good. I'm just going to pour this into the mixture here. Oh yeah, no extra water. It all absorbed perfectly, just like it should. Okay. That's excellent. Stir this around. Oh, let me put this in here so again we're centered. The new camera has a much wider lens, which is really, really awesome. Unfortunately, I noticed that the quality of the video is not what I had hoped with this camera. If you noticed that anytime I put something in here that had words on it, it was very hard to read the words. That was the nice thing about my cell phone. That Samsung phone, the camera on that is so fantastic. You could read everything crystal clear. This isn't the same. However, this isn't $1,000. This is a $40, camera designed for, it's kind of like a GoPro knockoff. It's called an Ape Man. Ape Man. I just realized that when I start speaking quickly, sometimes I mumble, which is really weird because I enunciate well most of the time. All right, see, this is all mixed together really well. Okay, timer's going to be going off in 45 seconds. We don't actually have to wait the full 3 minutes. I just did that because that's what I figured it was going to take. Turn the oven off. Okay, this looks, oh yeah, that looks really good. It's got brown on it, which is what we want. Get rid of the spoon. I've got a spatula handy. We're going to pour it across the whole top here. We want as close to a covering, even covering as you can get. Needless to say, when you're pouring out of a bowl, it's not the most elegant way of doing things, but it is efficient. All right, and we'll just spread it around. Look at that, nice good cover. Now, we sprinkle the rest of the cheese on top. You know something? That's all the recipe calls for, is to do this, but I think it would be better if we stuck this back in the oven. I'm not going to turn it back on. I'm just going to leave the heat that's in there. One of the biggest problems with mozzarella cheese is it really sticks to the bag, which drives me crazy. So we're just going to cut the side of the bag open since we don't need to save it. Get the spatula back over here. I hate wasting cheese. I love cheese. Now, technically, if this meal was for Steve, instead of using mozzarella cheese, we would have made, I can't remember what he called it. To me, it's a mock cheese. It's making cheese with other ingredients. I think he uses nuts, almonds, I think, to make cheese. I'll have to look that up for him. Okay. We'll just pop this in. Oh, it's a little warm. Pop this in the oven. Remember, we already turned it off. I'm only going to put it in there for maybe a minute. Let me get this stuff out of the way. You know, that doesn't make any sense because that tomato sauce is cold and I can't believe that this is supposed to be served cold. So I'm actually going to turn the oven back on to the 400 degrees. And I'm going to go 5 minutes. And we'll come right back. Alrighty? Okay. See, that's what happens when you print out a recipe and you don't check to see that there was a second page with one line on it. I was right. It needed to go back in the oven 15 to 20 more minutes to let it bake and heat up, because otherwise you're just taking hot cauliflower and pouring cold sauce over it and making everything, room temperature. You want it hot, so we set the timer for 16 minutes. I'm going to take a peek at it real quick. It's just about there. And what the heck? I think that's close enough, actually. Let's pull this out. It is bubbling, which means the sauce is hot. That's what we wanted. The cheese is melted. So this is called an Italian cauliflower quinoa bake. I think I got it right now. All right, that's all there is to it. It's a very simple dish. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, please like, subscribe, and share. Sharing is everything. We're also having a contest at the end of the summer. If you would like to have dinner for two and guest appearance on the show here in Delavan, Wisconsin, all you have to do is on any of my videos in the comment area say, I want to win dinner. At the end of the summer, we'll take all the names in there and draw a name, and you get a free dinner for two and be on the show. How cool is that? So once again, this is Fun Guy's Kitchen on Facebook, and I'm Fun Guy the Entertainer, cooking for you.